As President Biden has said, violence against Asian Americans is un-American and it must stop. And Mr. Kim, I know that you also added that we need to look at this as a humanity issue because humanity matters. And the last time you were before this committee, you also told us that what is in the media, visually, in print, everywhere, also matters. I wanted to ask you specifically about the rhetoric coming from politicians, as some of you have testified. I know we have focused on the former president, but Senator Cornyn of Texas said, China is to blame because a culture where people eat bats and snakes and dogs and things like that. China has been the source of a lot of these viruses like SARS, like MERS, the swine flu, and now the coronavirus. Senator Cruz, also from Texas, said that Trump was not worried because he wasn't serving bat soup in Hunan province, an apparent nod to the now debunked myth that the outbreak started in Hunan. How do these words and all the coverage that all this gets in print and sometimes in the news visually, how does that impact hate crimes, hate incidents in this country? Are you unmuted, sir? Oh. Mr. Kim.
Thank you for that question, Representative. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
First of all, I want to thank you for showing that clip of the woman in Torrance, California. That happens to be the neighborhood where my brother and his family live. And that woman is Latina, which highlights the point that you were trying to make that this is not just an issue of white people versus Asian people or black people versus Asian people. It is really a question of everybody versus acts of hate and bigotry. And that I think really needs to be highlighted because this is not part just of the Asian American history, it's part of the history of America. Now, to your question, I will say that yes, it matters that other representatives other than the president have been using these terms of hate and connecting Americans to a virus that they have no connection to whatsoever. It is part of our leadership. And, I think I'm an idealist because I still do believe in the words of my leaders. I want to believe that they are setting the tone for the rest of the country. And that when they use rhetoric like this, it not only affects adults, but it affects our children. It's a shameful thing to have to say. Don't listen to what your president is saying. Don't listen to what your senator is saying. If you cannot teach your children the same things that you would ask of your leaders, then what example are we setting? And the way it becomes insidious in our culture is that this language permeates through to places like Jay Baker, the spokesman for the sheriff's office in Cherokee County, who actually tweeted out T-shirts making fun of coronavirus and connecting it to China. This is a person who has a direct connection to the shooter of 8 people. He is not impartial, and so it calls into question, the veracity of his position. And so these are all ways in which it's connected, and words matter from our president, from our leaders, for anyone with a platform, which is why I'm here today to ask those of you who are leading us to speak out for us instead of encouraging hate.
Thank you for that answer. And I think, what our children and all Americans see in the news or hear or read in the paper matters, because words do matter. And as you said, humanity matters. So thank you for the response. Mr. Chairman, I want to introduce the articles that I've referenced together with other articles, which unfortunately the rhetoric is building and the coverage is building. So I'd like to introduce these into the record. Ask for unanimous consent.
So done. Without objection.
And with that, Mr. Chairman, I thank you and I yield back.